Executive Suite with WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi.
Welcome to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nesi. Thanks for joining us, whether you're here watching on TV or listening to us in our new spot on the radio Sunday nights at 6:30 p.m. on AM 630 and 99.7 FM. We hope you'll check in there if you're out and about when we're on your TV screens. Later on in the show, we're going to hear about the latest Eat, Drink, RI Festival and the growing food culture and food industry in Rhode Island with David Dadekian, who runs Eat, Drink, RI. Hear all about his organization. But first, right now, I'm very pleased to be joined by Scott Jensen. He is the new director of the Rhode Island Department of Labor and Training, brought in by Governor Gina Raimondo when she took office from his previous gig doing similar stuff down in Maryland. Scott, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, start off, why did you decide to take this job in Rhode Island when you were in Maryland?
You know, great opportunity to work with the governor. She's very inspiring, and she wants to get, she believes that, you know, Rhode Island, she can help turn Rhode Island around. It's going in the right direction, and I wanted to be part of it. So, you know, very inspiring person.
Has it been hard at all to learn the lay of the land in Rhode Island, a new place, a kind of provincial place?
No, it hasn't, and largely because I'm not under the impression that I can figure it out. So, you know, we've got a lot of great people working with me at the DLT, and they've been very generous. So,
so I want to start. I want to have you sort of frame the whole discussion we're going to have, because the governor herself, and then everybody on down, including you, Stephen Pryor, the Commerce Secretary, is talking about workforce development, job training, over and over and over. It comes up. There are certainly folks out there who think, why is that even the government's issue? Why the average people, maybe they just need to get trained to themselves for whatever job is out there. Why do you all see it as so important and so core to the governor's economic agenda?
A couple of years ago, about half of employers cited that workforce was their biggest challenge, and we're up to about 74% of employers citing that. So when the economy is itching to grow, if you don't have a workforce that's trained, it's that much harder for companies to take the plunge into a new product line or some new business and grow their enterprises. So workforce development is become central, not just in Rhode Island, but across the country.
And your big push on that right now, and the reason I wanted to have you on this week, was to understand this new $1.3 million workforce training program you just rolled out, Real Jobs RI. I think we have a graphic we can bring up that you've sort of, your office has tried to sort of visually show what you're trying to do there. It's interesting. It's a switch. You see it there. Tell us what you're trying to do. Why do we see all those bubbles on one side of the screen and then fewer bubbles at the bottom?
Well, you know, like I just mentioned that this is a nationwide challenge. And the governor challenged me and my team to put together, you know, what really can the state of Rhode Island do that's going to really turn things around in the most effective way. And you know, if you looked at the economy since the end of World War II, we used to have these vertically integrated companies, and you could come in at the bottom and you could sweep floors and you could work your way up theoretically to being a CEO, because there was training all the way through, and we call it middle skills training nowadays. Well, with foreign competition, the introduction of technology, companies are the world market is too competitive. So companies can't afford to do that anymore. So what that graphic showed was all of the folks who have kind of been trying to pick up the slack. So it runs a gamut. The community college system, K through 12 education, so many good nonprofits trying to help people plug into the labor market.
All doing like bits and pieces of it.
All doing parts. You know,
you see it there, a lot of different people.
And then you have the bigger round dots. There are these companies who are really struggling to find workers. So this is the famous skills gap. You know, you have a job that's open right now, you have a lot of unemployed people, yet you can't find the right person for the right job so that a company can make that leap to new business and to grow. So Real Jobs Rhode Island is a program that is also a platform, and I'll talk about that in a second, that is meant to give Rhode Island, you know, the way I like to say it, is an unfair business advantage to the rest of the country, because this state has got an incredible potential.
So specifically, it sounds like what you're trying to do, you want to bring different companies and different industries. You want those people to gather together and come up with training strategies, not have one little one here at one company, one here with one nonprofit, but have them say, here's our marine trades training policy, et cetera. Is that the right way to put it?
That's right. And the good news is that for some time, Rhode Island has been working on that. And I think that the challenge is now to take it to scale. And what we have here, the small but mighty state of Rhode Island, its ability to, people know each other. Because of our size, we can collaborate in ways that California can't.
What's actually going to happen though with Real Jobs Rhode Island that's different from what happened before?
Well, what we'll do is we'll have it's a grant program. So you have a planning grant. You ask these groups to get some companies together and talk about what they really need right now, and we'll train to the demand that we hear coming right from companies. And that's a big difference, and it's harder to do than you think. It seems to make sense.
Yeah.
Right. But instead of train and pray, we're going to want to train and really hit the demand. But once we see good partnerships forming, what we want to do is help that group of folks, companies, nonprofits, community college, CTE programs, grow to scale within that sector. So, and that's what's never been done in the United States. If you can get the manufacturing sector the jobs that it needs, we believe, and the data shows, that companies will come here and stay here and grow here when they might not otherwise, because we've got that problem solved better than our neighbors in Massachusetts.
And then on the worker side of it, I mean, when are they gonna? Are these groups gonna pop up and say, okay, we have a training session coming up for you. You're gonna enroll with us now. When will that all happen?
Money to begin training by November 1st.
So you want to have people learning these skills by November?
By November. And again, it's not like at the Department of Labor and Training we haven't been doing anything or we're not doing anything now. But this is sort of the next generation of our workforce efforts. So we're very excited and on a pretty fast clip to get this done.
And we're coming up on a break, but before we go to that, I want to ask, you made the announcement on the factory floor at, how do you say it? Is it Yushin America?
Yushin America.
Yushin America in Cranston, which is working on an expansion of their factory. Why did you pick Yushin? What was interesting about their case?
Well, they're a great case in point. They have 14 open positions. They are, as you mentioned, they're expanding. So right from where we announced the program, you can see their factory floor that they're going to expand into. They build robots. They're making
this is in Cranston, right?
This is right in Cranston, Rhode Island, right near the Department of Labor and Training. So we think that they were symbolic, and they're a great company, and we're very, very proud that they're working here in Rhode Island.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Scott Jensen here on Executive Suite about what's going on at the Department of Labor and Training, and later we'll hear from Eat, Drink, RI's David Dadekian. Stay with us. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi. We're going to talk later on in the show about Eat, Drink, RI, David Dadekian's festival and organization and what they're up to. But right now, pleased to continue the conversation with the new director of the Rhode Island Department of Labor and Training, Scott Jensen. And Scott, I wanted to ask you about just the labor market picture right now, as you've taken stock of it after coming into office. We've seen Rhode Island's unemployment rate now fall to 6.3%, way down from the peak during the recession, which is a blessed thing. But the state's only replaced a little more than half of the 40,000 jobs lost in the recession. So people often look at those and say, well, the unemployment rate looks good, but the job growth doesn't look like it's been enough. What do you think about the health of Rhode Island's labor market right now?
Well, I think what happened in Rhode Island is the kind of demise of old line manufacturing, and I'm talking about the jewelry industry, it seems in particular, happened later than, say, the steel industry and Bethlehem Steel in Pennsylvania and places like Baltimore. So we've not seen, we're coming out of the recession a little bit slower because we went into that sort of manufacturing malaise later. So as we're coming out, we need to double our efforts to really develop new industries here.
So you're not satisfied at 6.3% that we've pretty much healed?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, no, we need to really beat some of our our neighbors' job growth. Collaboratively beat them.
As your old boss, the labor secretary, would say, Tom Perez.
Correct.
What about the worries or the questions about the wages of the new jobs? We didn't get, people always say we got back the jobs with us, but we don't. We got different jobs in a lot of cases to replace the 40,000 gone. The governor has expressed concern that a lot of them are low-wage jobs. What do you think on that, the types of jobs we're seeing in the mix of the new economy?
Well, I think for a number of years, predating the Obama administration, we had the idea that you could have a service economy, that instead of adding value to the economy, you could just sort of take. And that's just not true. And that's what we're seeing as a national trend. So what we need to do is do more value add into the economy. So manufacturing is always the best example of that. But it's not just in manufacturing. I mean, food. You have a guest later talking about the food economy. That is really exciting because that's a value add. People are going to live longer.
A delicious one.
And delicious. in addition.
I also want to ask, you come in at DLT. DLT took a lot of PR hits during the recession. People were especially with the unemployment benefit system, how the computer system works, the quickness and speed that they could get answers and stuff. How did you find operations at DLT when you arrived? Are you concerned about how the agency's accomplishing its mission?
When it comes to Unemployment Insurance Administration, absolutely. There are a number of measures that you look at to how well you're administering benefits, and one of them is how long it takes you to determine whether or not somebody's eligible for unemployment insurance, and that's sort of the big one, right? You call in, and how long that takes. We're 53 out of 53. Guam does this better than we do, and we've taken a pretty close look at our process, and I have some good news. The good news is. And you can, if you meet the people doing this work, it's obvious. We have a terrible process. We have great people. We have excellent people. So what we're doing at the DLT is attacking the process, and we're doing it with our frontline employees, with the local labor unions, who are been terrifically helpful and very blunt about their experience, which is, I think, a big strength we have.
Do you have any kind of timeline or sense of when things will be better? I mean, do you have, okay, these are the things we need to do, and by late this year, it'll be working much better?
Yes. Okay.
What is it?
So the difference, I'd ask you, what's the difference between a goal and a dream?
Okay.
A deadline.
Okay.
So, we'll make a deadline. I mean, 6 months. I think we're going to be able to show real improvement in 6 months. Will we be the best in the country administering UI in 6 months? No, but we'll make significant progress. So I'm absolutely confident in
Your
that.
predecessor as director, also Charlie Fogarty, said the department was working on a plan to reduce the tax rate. He was hoping maybe 2 years early, which would be 2017. Do you think that's going to happen? Will the tax rate come down for businesses on UI benefits, unemployment insurance?
Well, naturally it will come down when there's when employment gets better, of course. And what the director was talking about is a couple years ago Rhode Island made some very difficult choices about lowering benefits a little bit and raising revenues a little bit in the unemployment insurance context. And we're beginning to see the fruits of that labor. We just paid off a federal loan. So we're in the black, basically, in unemployment insurance, which is very good. But with those old benefits and the old tax structure, there was a ratio, basically, of how much benefit you were paying out compared to what, how much is in the trust fund. And that's pegged on the old formulas. So we're going to switch to a new formula that will allow our tax rates to get better quicker.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
One other question I want to ask you before we go to the break, and it's kind of a good segue to our next segment about the food economy. As you know, there's a push on with some lawmakers to increase the minimum wage for waiters and other tipped workers from $2.89 an hour to $4.50. What's your view on that proposal, the administration view?
Well, we're going to take a look at that before the end of the legislative session. Depending on whether the General Assembly deals with it ahead of us, we'll see. But we're going to put together a task force and sort of weigh the pros and cons of it and report out before next session.
All right, so you're going to take a look at that soon. And also, is it about enforcement or just the rate increase?
Well, it'd be mostly the rate increase is the difficult policy question. Enforcement, that's our job. So
Gotcha.
We're happy to do that.
All right, Scott Jensen, new director of the Department of Labor and Training. Thank you very much for being here. Don't go away, though, because coming up next on Executive Suite, we'll talk to David Dadekian about Eat, Drink, RI and their upcoming festival. Stick with us. Welcome back to Executive Suite. I'm Ted Nisi. Thanks for being with us. And right now, very pleased to be joined by David Dadekian. He's returning to the show. He is the president of Eat, Drink, RI. Dave, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Got to start off first, for people who don't know, what is Eat, Drink, RI?
So we're a media and events company. We basically are here to promote and talk about all the fantastic local Rhode Island food, drink, farms, chefs, restaurants. And then we do events throughout the year, including our 4-day all-local festival, which comes up next week.
And that was my next question for you. The festival's coming up. That's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on right now. What's on tap, no pun intended, this year for the Eat, Drink, RI festival?
Thank you. Well, we have 4 big food events over 4 days, Thursday, April 30th to May 3rd. You can get tickets now at eatdrinkri.com/festival. And our opening night is a multi-course dinner prepared by 16 women, 5 women chefs, 5 women bartenders, and 6 women producers and farmers. That's our dinner by dames. Friday is our truck stop down on the skating rink with 16 food trucks to raise money for the food bank. Saturday is our grand tasting with over 50 food vendors at the Biltmore. I hope you'll join us. I remember you there last year.
Yeah, it was quite a show.
We have you name it, the Rhode Island product. We've got like I said, over 50 vendors. Is fantastic. And Sunday is a brunch with 11 restaurants and a cocktail bar and musicians for the Philharmonic.
And I assume it's been a success since you're doing it again. I mean, how's the attendance been? How was it last year?
This is our 4th annual. It's growing every year. So we'll see what the numbers are. A lot of people are still buying tickets. A lot of last-minute people around here. The way it is, the nature of the beast. We'd love to see more people buying tickets over the next week. Really hope that we get some great numbers.
And we've also talked, part of why you have this, I know, is to promote the strength of the food economy, as we were referencing with Scott Jensen earlier on the show. I'm curious, what are you seeing out there now, today, compared to maybe a year ago when last time we had this conversation? I mean, how are people in the food industry feeling in Rhode Island?
Oh, I think everyone's pretty positive. It's, I will say the strength of the food economy in our state is strong.
It's the state of our food union.
State of the food union there. The growth is continual. It's really amazing to see. It's especially when other sectors have not done as well over the last few years. Food and restaurants, and especially the local side of things, has really grown. There's more products being created here, and that's manufactured goods, that are canned and jarred and things of that nature. It's really impressive.
And I know the governor actually highlighted on her 100th day, she went out to Hope in Maine, the food incubator, and that. I mean, are you seeing more interest in this sector from policymakers now, seeing it as a real building block of the economy than you used to?
Absolutely. I'm much more involved with politics than I ever thought I would be. And I mean that in a good way. It's the administration's been great. I've had breakfast with the first gentleman to talk about food. Great conversations with Stephen Pryor and his team. Been really impressed with the newcomers folks. I think it's really great to see these people from, like the head of we were training there, come from out of state and want to be here and want to make changes.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about, you won last year a Rhode Island Foundation Innovation Fellowship. Now, somewhat full disclosure, I was on the selection panel this year,
that's right, yeah.
But not last year so I did not pick you, but that's not to say it was a bad pick or anything, but you got $300,000 to create this Eat, Drink, Rhode Island central market, to work on creating it. Right. Can you first explain, what was your proposal?
Sure. So basically, in a nutshell, it's there's a number of components, but basically it's a public market, kind of similar to Chelsea Market in New York or the Reading Market in Philadelphia. Oyster bar, wine bar, bakery, ice cream shop, all these things under one roof, all locally focused. Produce stand, meat market, fish store. And then also some event space, some commercial kitchens so that people develop more food products here, and then some small-scale distribution in it as well. So
how big would it be? We're
looking for about 35 to 40,000 square feet, and we've had some really great progress over the last year. I think having been part of this, really intensively for the last year and researching other markets around the country and around the world, it's come clear that with the exception of New York and San Francisco, which are major markets, we need a private-public partnership of some sort. And with the elections last year, we kind of didn't really have much conversation for a good 3-4 months. But come January, the new administration, like I said, we've hit the ground running. We've got another meeting at Commerce next week. We had one there last week and one a couple weeks before. Met with Darren Early and Stephen Pryor, and we're having good conversations. And I think everyone wants to see this happen. We just have to figure out how to make it, and where the right location is. We've got realtors involved and architects. And
people have suggested putting it on the old 195 land. Is that in the mix?
I would certainly entertain that conversation. I think there's a bigger picture there than just me. I think we want to. Everyone involved, not just Commerce and the government, but I think anyone with a good sense for Rhode Island wants to make sure that we have the right layout of things there. There's a slight distraction at the moment with a large,
with that little
large structure. But I would love to to continue that conversation and see if we can make something happen there. Sure.
Do you have? I know, as you said, there's a lot of moving parts to that right now. Do you have any kind of timeline, a sense of when you hope it could open, or is that on hold till you have a space?
Well, that's really it. It's on hold. I mean, to me, I would have opened it yesterday. Just by nature of the beast and being a small business owner, someone who started his own company, and other companies in the past, I make decisions relatively quickly, and having to learn the pace of the bigger picture here at Rhode Island is it's taught me patience.
And just so people understand, public market, it's not like a farmer's market,
no.
Right? It would be open every day, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we don't have any farmers here. Well, we have a couple, very few farms here in Rhode Island that could sustain 7 days a week, 8 to 10, 12 hours a day. So that's not what it is. Now we might have someone running a produce stand in the market that has all local produce from all these local farms. That's definitely our goal, to have that in a meat market from all these different farms around the state. But to say farmers market, no. I mean, one aspect is, though, depending on location, is if we have an outdoor area for events or parking, we could put a farmer's market there, 1 day a week. I could turn to my friends at Farm Fresh and say, hey, do you want to put one here? And, so that sort of thing.
One other question I had for you, just had an op-ed in the Journal, and you said you like the idea of launching a new tourism campaign with a statewide focus. The governor, it's another thing the governor's been big on since she took office. Why do you think that's a good approach to take on this?
Well, I'm a firm believer in marketing and telling the message of the state, and obviously that's what we do. And my company is Eat Drink Rhode Island, not Eat Drink Warren, even though I love Warren, because it's just a little too small. I mean, the beauty of the state is the size. It's a huge selling point. To be able to go anywhere, do anything within a matter of minutes in some cases is fantastic. When I have people come here from other parts of the country, they ask me where they should go to eat. They have no problem, even if they're staying in Providence or Newport or whatever, going to Westerly or Barrington or whatever. So I just think a unified message, unified brand is the way to go. I just think, it's a way to sell this whole state, and that includes beaches and arts and history and all the rest.
All right, Eat Drink RI Festival, one more reminder, where can people get tickets?
eatdrinkri.com/festival.
All right, and it's next weekend, so we'll be sure to see all the food going on there and the food trucks and all of that. So thank you very much, Dave Dadekian, for being here from Eat Drink RI, and thank you for joining us this week on Executive Suite. Be sure to be with us every week. You can also catch the shows on WPRI.com, and now Sunday nights on the radio on 99.7 FM and AM 630. See you next